The Council of Galactic Leaders had never been this tense before. Hundreds of alien species, some millions of years ahead of humans in technology, gathered in the great stellar chamber, their bodies shimmering with light, metal, and strange forms. Their voices were deep, high, melodic, or mechanical, yet all of them shared the same unease. Somewhere across the galaxy, a tiny blue planet was stirring fear they did not fully understand. That planet was Earth, home to humans. "Humans," said Elder Thrin, his translucent wings quivering with agitation. "No alien species in known space has ever challenged humans and survived. None. Yet here they are, thriving on a fragile world filled with unpredictable creatures." His voice echoed across the chamber. Some leaders whispered anxiously, while others shifted uneasily. Even species who had conquered entire galaxies felt a chill in their consciousness at the mention of humans. Deep within the human cities, far from the alien chamber, life went on normally. Children laughed as they played in crowded streets. Workers hurried to finish tasks in factories and offices. Soldiers trained, scientists experimented, and ordinary people worried about their everyday struggles, never knowing the eyes of the galaxy were watching them. Commander Alina Torres stood on a rooftop in New York City, her gaze fixed on the sky. The wind tugged at her jacket, but her thoughts were far away, focused on a strange feeling she could not explain. Something was coming, something that would test humanity in ways no one had imagined. The warning from the Council reached Earth indirectly through cryptic signals intercepted by astronomers and satellite stations. Governments debated, scientists calculated, but the real truth could not be measured in numbers. Humans had survived plagues, natural disasters, wars, and famine. They had built civilizations that touched the stars, yet no one had prepared them for what this warning meant. The galaxy itself considered humans dangerous. Alina looked around at her team of soldiers and engineers, each one unaware of the full story but sharing her sense of restless anticipation. "They think we're weak," she said quietly to herself. "They don't know what we can do." Her voice was soft, almost drowned by the city sounds, yet it carried the weight of determination. She felt a strange pride, a warmth that spread through her chest. Humans may have been small in number, their technology crude compared to alien standards, yet there was something no alien could predict: the human heart. Across the globe, people went about their lives, oblivious to the silent judgments being cast in distant chambers of the galaxy. Farmers watched the sun rise over their fields. Children chased balls in schoolyards. Scientists stared through telescopes, hopping for answers to questions they had not yet fully imagined. And somewhere in each heart, buried under fear, doubt, or routine, was a spark that would one day shine bright enough to make the galaxy tremble. Back in the chamber, Elder Thrin's words hung in the air. "Humans are reckless, unpredictable, and resistant in ways we cannot fully comprehend. Some say they are fragile, but fragility is only physical. Their minds, their spirits, their very essence, it is something we cannot calculate, control, or destroy. If a species like this survives in the galaxy, it must be watched closely. Their moment is coming. Soon, all will see why no alien can ever challenge humans without facing consequences they cannot escape." Alina felt her heart pound as she heard of the warnings through intercepted transmissions. She looked at the city skyline stretching beneath her feet, the people bustling like ants unaware of the eyes watching them from above. She clenched her fists. The galaxy might think humans were weak, fragile, or naive, but when the moment came, humans would show what courage, ingenuity, and unyielding will really meant. The wind swept across the rooftop, carrying with it the smell of rain and distant smoke. Alina took a deep breath, feeling the weight of history pressing on her shoulders. Somewhere across the stars, aliens were debating, planning, calculating. But Earth was ready, even if it did not yet know it. Humans had survived countless trials before, and this was no different. As night fell, the city lights blinked on, and Alina gazed at the stars. Somewhere out there, the galaxy was preparing to test humanity. And humans, small, messy, stubborn, extraordinary, would rise to meet it. The sky over New York City darkened without warning. At first, people thought it was a storm. But then the clouds shimmered unnaturally, twisting into patterns no human had ever seen. A hum filled the air, low and vibrating, shaking windows and rattling bones. On every street, people stopped, staring upward. Phones and cameras clicked frantically, capturing a sight that would be remembered for centuries. From the heavens descended a vessel unlike anything humans had imagined. It was a silver, fluid structure that seemed alive, moving as if it breathed. Its surface rippled and reflected the city below, bending light into strange, dazzling colors. Fear gripped many hearts. Children clung to parents. Soldiers raised weapons, unsure if they could defend against a being that clearly defied all human comprehension. A doorway opened, and from it emerged the alien ambassador. It was impossible to describe with words alone. Its body shifted like liquid crystal, its head pulsing with faint glows that hinted at intelligence beyond measure. When it spoke, the voice did not come from its mouth. It resonated directly inside human minds, filling them with a mixture of awe and terror. "Humans," it said, its tone both melodic and metallic, "we have observed your species. You are chaotic, fragile, and inconsistent. You should surrender. Prepare to join the order of the galaxy as your extinction is inevitable." Crowds gasped, some screaming, others frozen in disbelief. But among them, Alina Torres stepped forward. Her uniform was simple, yet her posture radiated unwavering determination. She looked straight at the alien and said, loud enough for those near her to hear, "We do not surrender. This is our home and we will defend it." Around her, humans instinctively gathered, forming protective lines. Scientists pointed telescopes and scanners at the alien, seeking weaknesses. Soldiers raised shields, small arms, and experimental drones. Even ordinary citizens joined in, offering help where they could. Fear was there, but it was mixed with courage, and courage had a weight that no alien calculation could measure. The alien ambassador tilted its head, or what humans assumed was a head. "Curious," it said, "you show defiance that is illogical. You act without strategy yet survive. How is this possible?" Alina's voice did not falter. "Because we are humans, we protect each other, we adapt, and we never give up." The words were simple, but they carried the strength of generations who had survived famine, disease, wars, and disasters. The alien's shimmering form pulsed faster, as if confused, almost irritated. It had faced countless species before, all of which bent to logic or fear. But humans were unpredictable. Suddenly, the city lights flickered. A group of teenagers using homemade drones for fun had inadvertently formed a pattern that interfered with the alien's sensors. It was chaotic, unplanned, and completely illogical, but it worked. The ambassador paused, sending a ripple of energy to scan the interference. It hissed in frustration. Humans were not following patterns, not playing by rules. Every instinct it had relied upon was failing. In that moment, Alina realized something profound. The aliens did not understand that humans' greatest weapon was not their technology, nor their strength, nor even their numbers. It was their unpredictability, their ability to improvise, and their willingness to fight for what mattered most. Every fear, every tear, every laugh, every memory of survival contributed to a force no laser, no calculation, and no weapon could ever match. As the sun set, casting a fiery glow across the city, humans did not retreat. They continued to watch, to plan, and to stand tall. And in the alien ambassador's shimmering form, a new emotion flickered: confusion, or perhaps the beginning of respect. Alina's heart pounded, not with fear, but with something much stronger: hope. Humanity was small, chaotic, and fragile in body, but unstoppable in spirit. And this first encounter was only the beginning. Days passed since the first contact, but the tension in the air never lifted. The aliens had issued a challenge, a test designed to prove that humans were inferior. The humans were to travel to multiple alien-controlled planets, each rigged with deadly traps, unpredictable terrain, and obstacles meant to crush their spirits. No one on Earth had ever faced anything like this. Yet, despite fear and uncertainty, the teams were ready. Commander Alina Torres led the first mission. She looked at her team, soldiers, engineers, scientists, and even volunteers from universities. They were not perfect, not superhuman, but each carried a fire that refused to die. "We are not just fighting for ourselves," Alina said, her voice steady. "We fight for everyone who came before us and for everyone who will come after. Remember that. No alien can take that away." Their first planet was a frozen wasteland called Thrill. The winds were so strong they could strip flesh from bone. The temperature could freeze metal solid in minutes. The aliens had set scanning towers everywhere, designed to detect the slightest human movement. Most species would have crumbled. Most would have frozen in place, paralyzed by fear. But humans adapted. Using reflective sheets salvaged from their ship, the humans angled sunlight and scattered ice to confuse the alien scanners. When one of the towers emitted a pulse of energy, Alina instructed her team to redirect it into a nearby glacier. The explosion revealed a safe path previously hidden. The humans laughed, breath visible in the icy air, their faces red and frozen, but their spirits alive. Even in near-death conditions, they found a way to turn danger into advantage. Next, they were sent to Sakar, a planet of rivers of molten lava. Bridges collapsed under heat, geysers erupted without warning, and the very ground seemed alive. The aliens expected humans to fail, but humans moved unpredictably, sliding across molten streams on heat-resistant panels, using small explosions to propel themselves from one ledge to another. They improvised with whatever they could find, making every step a small victory. The aliens watched in disbelief. Their logic, their calculations, their strategies, none of it worked. Humans defied every expectation. In the middle of the trials, Alina noticed something else. It was not just physical skill or intelligence that kept them alive. It was their willingness to protect one another. When one engineer slipped near the lava, a soldier dove without hesitation, pulling them to safety. When a bridge collapsed, a scientist used her body to hold a makeshift rope steady so others could cross. Fear existed, yes, but it was tempered by courage, empathy, and trust. These qualities could not be measured, yet they became humanity's true weapon. The aliens tried to adapt. They increased the difficulty, creating storms, seismic quakes, and psychic traps meant to break human minds. But every time, humans improvised in ways the aliens could not anticipate. When one alien device froze part of the team's equipment, a young engineer cobbled together a solution using spare parts from their own backpacks. When psychic illusions tried to manipulate fear, the humans comforted each other, holding hands, whispering words of reassurance. By the time the trials ended, the aliens realized something undeniable. Humans could not be defeated through logic, intimidation, or power alone. Their strength came from unpredictability, from creativity, and most of all, from a shared will to survive together. Each challenge left humans exhausted, battered, and bruised, but also stronger, closer, and more determined than ever. Alina looked at her team, their faces streaked with dirt, sweat, and blood. She smiled, knowing the aliens were watching, learning the same lesson she had always known. Humanity's greatest weapon was not technology or weapons, it was their heart. For the first time, the galaxy began to understand a truth no alien could calculate. Humans were not just survivors, they were unstoppable. The alien warship appeared suddenly above Earth, its shadow swallowing entire cities in darkness. It was enormous, bigger than any human imagination could conceive. The ground trembled as its energy weapons hummed, capable of leveling continents in a single strike. Panic spread instantly. Millions fled, screaming, while sirens blared across every nation. It seemed the aliens had come not to test, but to destroy. Commander Alina Torres stood on a rooftop, her eyes scanning the immense vessel. She felt fear, yes, but she refused to let it control her. Around her, civilians and soldiers alike looked for orders, unsure what could stop such power. "We are not powerless," Alina shouted, her voice cutting through the chaos. "We may be smaller, but we are human, and humans do not surrender." The aliens broadcast a message across every communication channel. "Surrender now. Resistance is futile. Your species cannot survive against our might." The words were chilling, but the humans heard them as a challenge, not a threat. Every hand that held a weapon, every eye watching from the streets, every mind trying to think of a way to fight, was filled with the same unshakable resolve. Alina devised a plan unlike anything the aliens expected. Instead of a single, organized strike, she called on every human resource available: soldiers, scientists, engineers, drone operators, even civilians with makeshift devices. From skyscrapers, satellites, and even small boats on rivers, they coordinated chaos. Drones flew in patterns designed to confuse the alien sensors. Reflections from glass, mirrors, and metal were angled to distort their energy weapons. Fires and explosions were set strategically, not with precision, but with improvisation. The aliens, used to controlling every scenario, struggled to adapt. Every attempt they made to predict human movements failed. Humans did not act as a single machine. They acted as countless independent wills, unpredictable, flexible, and relentless. Each strike, each diversion, forced the aliens to pause, reprogram, and adjust, giving the humans precious seconds to survive and counterattack. In the middle of the chaos, Alina moved among the people, helping those trapped in crumbling buildings, lifting debris, and directing escape routes. She encouraged terrified children, guided injured soldiers, and even offered comfort to strangers. Each act of humanity, each small gesture, strengthened the collective will of the planet. Fear existed, but courage and compassion were stronger. At one critical moment, a group of young engineers discovered that the alien ship relied heavily on energy pulses to track and target humans. Using scavenged technology, they redirected city power grids to create a massive reflection of their own signals, confusing the alien targeting system. The warship faltered, its enormous weapon misfiring and destroying part of its own outer hull. The aliens recoiled in surprise, unprepared for humans' ability to turn their own power against them. Alina watched, her heart racing. The humans were winning, not because of firepower or advanced tech, but because of unpredictability, creativity, and an unyielding desire to survive. The aliens had calculated war in patterns and probabilities, but humans fought with spirit. Each improvised tactic, each act of selflessness, each defiance of expectation chipped away at the alien confidence. As night fell, the alien warship hovered, badly damaged and confused. Its energy shields flickered and failed intermittently. For the first time, humans were not running or hiding. They were standing tall, daring the galaxy's might to strike again. Alina's eyes glimmered with determination. She knew the aliens had underestimated humanity, and she also knew something more profound. The heart of a human being could never be predicted, measured, or destroyed. For the first time in history, the balance of fear shifted. The humans of Earth, battered but unbroken, had proven that courage, ingenuity, and unity were weapons stronger than any laser or shield. The battle was over, but the silence that followed was heavy, almost unbearable. The alien warship had retreated, limping across the stars, but Earth bore the scars of the confrontation. Cities lay in ruin, streets were littered with debris, and smoke rose from fires that no one had time to extinguish. People walked among the wreckage, their faces pale with shock, grief, and relief. Commander Alina Torres moved through the chaos, her uniform streaked with dust and blood. She had survived, and she had led humanity to victory, but survival carried a cost. She saw soldiers comforting friends they could not save, parents searching desperately for children, and neighbors holding each other through tears that refused to stop. Every human life was precious, and the losses weighed on her heart like a stone she could not lift. She knelt beside a young boy sitting on the edge of a crumbled wall. His eyes were wide, staring at the remnants of his school, now reduced to rubble. Alina put a hand on his shoulder. "You're safe now," she said softly. "It's over, you're safe." The boy trembled, not with fear, but with the weight of all he had just seen. Tears spilled down his cheeks, but he nodded slowly, drawing strength from her presence. It was a small victory, but in that moment it felt monumental. Across the city, families hugged each other tightly, strangers helping strangers. Soldiers carried the injured, sharing water and words of comfort. Engineers and volunteers worked tirelessly to repair communications and restore order. Every act, no matter how small, reminded Alina of something she had always known. Humans were fragile, yes, but their spirit was unbreakable. The alien ambassador had underestimated more than humanity's ingenuity. It had underestimated their compassion. Even in the face of overwhelming power, humans had risked their lives not just to survive, but to protect each other. That selflessness, that willingness to endure hardship for others, was a force no alien could calculate or defeat. Alina felt tears sting her eyes, not from fear or grief, but from pride. She had seen the very essence of humanity shining brighter than any star. Night fell, casting long shadows over the ruined city. Alina climbed to the top of a partially standing skyscraper, looking out over the devastated streets. Fires flickered, reflecting in her eyes, but the city was alive. Humanity had survived, and the people who remained were determined to rebuild. She thought of the sacrifices made, the soldiers who would never see home again, the civilians who had given everything to help strangers, the engineers who had risked their lives to save others. Every story of courage, every act of love, was a thread in the fabric of humanity that no alien could ever tear apart. Alina closed her eyes for a moment, letting the wind carry away the weight of the day. She whispered a silent promise to the people she had led. "We will rebuild, we will rise stronger, and no one will ever make us feel small again." Her voice, though soft, carried through the night like a beacon. As dawn approached, the city slowly came to life. Children peeked out of broken windows, soldiers organized cleanup efforts, and neighbors shared food and water. The human spirit, though tested and wounded, was resilient beyond measure. Alina watched them, heart swelling with pride, and realized that the galaxy had witnessed something extraordinary. Humans could face annihilation, chaos, and fear, and still rise together unbroken. For the first time, Earth was quiet, not because humans were defeated, but because they had survived. Every tear shed, every life risked, every hand offered to another human being had proven a simple truth. Strength was not measured in weapons or technology, but in courage, compassion, and an unyielding will to endure. Lena looked to the horizon, the first rays of sunlight breaking through the smoke. Humanity had survived the unthinkable, and the memory of that day would be etched in the stars forever. They had not just fought, they had fought for each other, and that made them unstoppable. The alien ambassador floated silently above the remnants of New York City, its shimmering form flickering with confusion. It had faced countless civilizations, each one clever and resourceful, yet none had ever displayed what humans had shown. Logic and calculation had failed, weapons had failed, even fear had failed. And now, staring down at the battered but alive planet, the alien began to understand something it had never anticipated. Humans were not simply survivors, they were something else entirely. Commander Alina Torres stood atop a ruined skyscraper, her eyes scanning the sky. The city was scarred, smoke rising in thin columns, but the streets were alive with movement. People were helping one another, clearing debris and rebuilding what had been lost. The alien's gaze fell upon the countless acts of kindness, courage, and ingenuity that dotted the landscape. It had studied the humans, observed them, tried to predict them, but it had never accounted for this, the heart of a human being. "Explain yourselves," the alien said, its voice now trembling slightly, resonating in human minds like an uncertain echo. "You should have been extinguished. Your species should be broken, yet you survive and fight back with forces I cannot measure." Alina stepped forward, her stance unwavering despite the exhaustion that clung to her bones. "We survive because we fight for more than ourselves," she said. "We fight for each other, for our families, our friends, and even strangers. That is something no weapon, no plan, no alien mind can ever understand or destroy." The alien's form flickered faster, almost like a pulse of pain. "Your resilience is illogical. You risk life unnecessarily. You defy probability. You—" It stopped, unable to complete the thought. It had been trained to dominate, to conquer, to calculate every outcome. Humans had shown that not everything could be predicted, and in that unpredictability lay power. Alina's gaze softened, not with triumph but with compassion. "You've underestimated us," she said gently. "You see our bodies and our technology and assume weakness. You do not see what drives us. You cannot measure love, courage, or the will to protect. These are stronger than any weapon, faster than any calculation. That is why no alien can ever challenge humans and succeed." The alien drifted back, its energy fluctuating in strange, erratic waves. Its voice, once confident, now held awe. "I cannot compute this. A species so fragile in form, yet so strong in essence, unprecedented." It paused, looking down at the streets where humans worked tirelessly, helping injured neighbors, comforting children, and rebuilding their city from ruins. "It is remarkable, ineffable, dangerous." Alina watched as the alien slowly began to retreat, its massive warship lifting and leaving behind the planet it had sought to dominate. She could feel the lingering tension in the air, the sense that the galaxy had witnessed a force it could not predict. Humans had survived not because of superior technology or brute strength, but because of spirit, the unyielding, unpredictable, and unstoppable heart that no alien mind could ever measure. As night fell, a calm settled over the city. The streets were still damaged, but people moved with purpose. Families reunited, friends embraced, and strangers helped one another. Even in exhaustion, there was laughter, tears, and hope. Humanity had faced extinction and emerged not broken, but transformed. Alina looked up at the stars, feeling both pride and relief. The alien ambassador's departure was a silent acknowledgement, a recognition of something deeper than conquest or control. Humans had fought not for dominance, not for glory, but for each other, and that was a power the galaxy had never seen before. In that quiet moment, Alina understood something profound. The aliens would return eventually, as all challengers do, but it no longer mattered. Humans had proven their true strength, and the universe had witnessed a species whose heart, courage, and spirit were unbreakable. No calculation, no weapon, no alien could ever take that away. And somewhere, deep in the alien mind, a lesson had been learned. Humans were not merely beings of flesh and bone. They were a force that could not be predicted, controlled, or defeated. Years had passed since the aliens had retreated, leaving Earth scarred but alive. The cities that had once been reduced to rubble were now rising again, taller, stronger, and brighter than before. Humanity had not only survived, it had learned, grown, and become wiser. The stories of that fateful encounter were told over and over, passed from parent to child, teacher to student, and friend to friend. They were no longer just stories, they were lessons, reminders of the strength that lived within every human heart. Commander Alina Torres walked through the streets of the newly rebuilt city, now filled with laughter, bustling markets, and children playing freely. She could still see traces of the old devastation, cracked sidewalks, a bent lamppost, the faint scars of fires, but each mark was a testament to survival. Every building, every tree replanted, every child's smile was a victory. Humanity had endured horrors that no one imagined possible, yet here they were, alive and thriving. In the schools, teachers told the story of humans' first contact with the aliens. They described the frozen wastelands of Thrill, the rivers of molten lava on Sakar, and the enormous warship that had loomed over Earth. But more than the battles or the destruction, they emphasized the courage, compassion, and ingenuity that had carried humanity through. Students listened with wide eyes, inspired by the truth that survival was not about weapons or technology alone, but about the heart that refused to give up. Alina often visited memorials dedicated to those who had sacrificed their lives, soldiers who had given everything to protect strangers, engineers who had risked death to save their team, and countless civilians who had shown courage beyond measure. She knelt before one monument, her hand brushing the names etched in stone. "You taught the galaxy what it means to be human," she whispered, tears glinting in her eyes. "Your courage lives in all of us." Beyond the cities, Earth itself seemed renewed. Forests regrew, rivers flowed clearer, and oceans sparkled under the sun. Humanity had rebuilt not just its cities, but its world, guided by the memory of what they had endured and the hope of what they could become. Even as they advanced in science and technology, the lessons of the past remained. No calculation could measure human courage, no weapon could match human ingenuity, and no force in the universe could break a people who fought for each other. Alina looked up at the night sky, where distant stars twinkled like tiny beacons. Occasionally, small alien ships passed through the outer atmosphere, observing cautiously, as if they remembered the day humans had defied their expectations. Alina smiled softly. Humanity had survived the first encounter, and they would survive any that came after. They were resilient, unpredictable, and unstoppable, traits that no alien or machine could ever replicate. In homes across the planet, children dreamed of stars and adventures, inspired by the bravery of the humans who had faced the galaxy's might. Parents told stories of ingenuity and selflessness, of ordinary people doing extraordinary things. The memory of the alien challenge became a symbol of what humans could achieve when they stood together, united by courage and compassion. Alina felt a deep sense of fulfillment as she walked home. Humanity had faced extinction and emerged stronger, not because of technology or weapons, but because of the indomitable human spirit. Every act of bravery, every sacrifice, every choice to protect another person had proven one simple truth: humans were more than just a species. They were a force of life, heart, and hope, something no alien could ever fully understand or conquer. As the first rays of dawn touched the city, Alina raised her eyes to the horizon. The future stretched ahead, uncertain but bright. Humanity had survived, and they would continue to rise, stronger with every challenge, bolder with every threat, and unstoppable in their heart, mind, and soul. The galaxy had learned a lesson it would never forget. Humans were extraordinary. And so, the legacy of Earth and its people lived on, not in the power of weapons, not in the speed of ships, but in the courage, creativity, and unbreakable spirit of humanity itself. The universe had witnessed something eternal, the heart of a human being,